Okay, today I'm going to talk to you about the four powerful people who are spreading these stereotypical rhetoric that's actually giving an advantage to the Democratic Party. You got four people powerful people. Some of them don't even think they're powerful, but they are powerful in the mind. First you got Hillary Clinton. Then you got Tommy Sotomayer. Then you got Mark Zuckerberg. Then you got Donald Trump. Now, these are four people. You got two that are on the Republican side and two that are on the Democrat side. You got two that are candidates, two that are not candidates. Now, before I go into how this is an advantage to the Democrat Party, let's understand who these four people are. First one is Hillary Clinton. She's a Democrat frontrunner. She's polling about 48 to 52%. She's had as much as 56%. She has minority support, like Hispanic Americans and African Americans. But here's the deal. I gotta question this. How has she got that much support? Is it because of her policy? No. It's all about rhetoric. And about the 150 progressive sites that promote Hillary. That Black Americans and African Americans, Hispanic Americans go to. Now, let me ask you a question. Do you think this election is going to be won by policy? Or is it going to be won by rhetoric? Well, I'll get to that point later. Let's go back to Hillary. Now, what kind of rhetoric that Hillary Clinton uses? She says, all Republicans are racist. She says, voter ID law is racist. She says, environmental racism is racist. Anything that she could say is racist. She could say, your dog is racist. Your cat is racist. And these African Americans and Hispanic Americans will eat it up. Now, these African Americans and Hispanic Americans not intelligent? No, a majority of them are intelligent. The only reason they fall for it is because it's kind of like this. When you have the media just showing this and showing this, the media they go to, and it kind of entraps in their mind. It kind of just gets in there and it must be true. Even though it's not. Voter ID law has proven not to be racist because federal laws require IDs for goods and services. And if they're going to point out the fact that ID law for voting requires an ID, they're going to have to end federal laws for IDs on goods and services. Now, one's saying, well, it's Voting Rights Act. Well, goods and services showing ID could be a violation of the Civil Rights Act, since the same people that don't have an ID for voting don't have an ID to buy these goods and services, making it unequal and they said it's based off of minorities. So if it's based off of minorities, then that makes federal ID law for goods and services based off of minorities racist. Maybe none of it's racist. Maybe all of it is to prevent fraud. No matter how much they say, elections don't have fraud, it's very small. That's because elections don't get challenged too often because it costs us too much money. So they're not going to check if they're fraud. Most elections stand without being checked for fraud. That's basically how it goes. So preventative measure is the ID, which to a point, it's a preventative measure, but it's not 100%. You know, nothing's 100%. Not even ID law for goods and services. We know it's not 100% preventive measure, but it's one step in the right direction. Okay, the second one is, they were talking about gerrymandering law, and that's what Hillary Clinton brought up too. Now, let me ask you a question. How many people think only Republicans gerrymander? Probably the majority of the people that are Democrats. I'm sorry to say that. Probably the majority. But here's the thing. They found out in California, gerrymanders. That's how they keep a Democrat majority inside the California. Illinois gerrymanders, which is one of the biggest Democrat states that gerrymanders to keep a Democrat in office. But they also found out that counties, some states, even Republican states, allow counties to redistrict themselves. Like Louisiana, for example. They allow counties to redistrict themselves instead of them just redistricting them for them. So, one county is a Democrat county called Terrebonne Parish. Terrebonne Parish, instead of gerrymandering by party, like the states do, because the states never gerrymander by race. They gerrymander by race because they gerrymander by party. Sorry, the Republican and Democrat states gerrymander by party to keep the specific party in. Yes, it is true. When a Republican state gerrymanders by party, there is a whole bunch of Democrats that are black. They're African Americans. Majority of African Americans and Hispanic Americans are Democrats. So, when the Republican states gerrymander by party, it's going to affect a significant number of African Americans and Hispanic Americans because of their party affiliation. Now, when Democrats gerrymander, like Illinois and California, it's not going to affect minorities mostly. It's going to affect whites. And we don't call that racism when it affects whites and not the other races. We don't call it racism. Only when it affects minorities. So, see, that's the answer that Hillary Clinton's not using. The logical answer is both parties gerrymander by party. But one's going to affect a particular race because a particular race is in that party that's getting gerrymandered out. So, now back to the Terrebonne Parish. Terrebonne Parish is a county that gerrymandered. This county gerrymandered. But here's the deal on the Terrebonne Parish in Louisiana. Terrebonne Parish, majority of whites are Democrat. Majority of blacks are Democrat. So what they did is they did a little gerrymandering in Terrebonne Parish. But they didn't go by party because both African Americans and both whites and whites were both majority Democrat. They actually went by race. They gerrymandered out the African American vote in the Terrebonne Parish. And that was even reported on MSNBC. And they basically gerrymandered the African American. Why? There's a reason why. Because even in an MSNBC article, they said that's because the whites there did not want to vote for a black man. And the case was about a judge. And they didn't want a black judge as the leader as a judge. They didn't want a black man as a judge. So that actually was racism. Because you had both people in the same party. Both races, both types of people in the same party. African Americans and whites. You had them both in the same party. And one race got kicked out. It happens in Los Angeles County too. California does redistricting for the state. But they also let counties redistrict themselves on certain elections. Like judges and stuff. Just like Louisiana. So, Los Angeles County redistricted, and there was a majority Hispanic and a majority whites. Majority of Hispanics there in Los Angeles County are Democrats. Majority of whites in Los Angeles County are Democrats. So, they did some gerrymandering, and guess what happened to the Hispanic American vote? Gone! Yes, in Los Angeles County. One of the biggest counties, Los Angeles, is the city, they gerrymandered. They gerrymandered out the Hispanic American vote. Why? Because the white Democrats there did not want a Hispanic representative. Hispanic American representative. So, they always bash about Republicans. Hillary bashes about Republicans. But Hillary bashes about Republicans. But my question is, it's actually the Democrats that are gerrymandering our place. At least in the counties. Sorry to say it, but that's the truth. They all focused on race. When you got two of the same races being Democrat and you gerrymander out a certain race, you're racist. That's racism. But we don't talk about that, because, except for a few times, they snuck a little story in there, like in Mississippi Day. But that's enough about Hillary Clinton. Except I want to point out, too, welfare cuts affect majority whites. Closing polls only affect whites, too, besides other races. Closing only voting, reducing the time, and that affects whites too. So none of that's racist. Okay? None of that's racist. Moving on. Let's move on to Mark Zuckerberg. Let's talk about Facebook. Facebook is run by the CEO, Mark Zuckerberg, and I've already posted many videos on Mark Zuckerberg. Mark Zuckerberg bans people on Facebook. Lately, he's been banning Republicans who have been outreaching to minorities. While he allows Republicans who insult minorities and say nasty little things and racist comments, he allows those comments to stay. I'm one of the ones that was outreaching minorities. I was telling minorities, black, Hispanic, all that, about what all candidates offer, Republican candidates, because not all Republican candidates are the same, like Hillary Clinton says. Like immigration reform with legal status, criminal justice reform, police reform, and stuff like that. What we would offer to the different minorities that they are actually looking for. And guess what? I got banned. Now, I got banned for 30 days each time when somebody said a racial comment towards a minority, I called that person out. I called that person and said that you said a racist comment and you should not say a racist comment. Something like that. And I said it to Democrats. That said it. Yes, Democrats say racist comments. A lot of people don't think they do. But I have actually gone on people's profiles to see if they were Democrat or Republican. But sometimes they list it as political affiliation, or sometimes they have all the likes and all that, and they like certain people. And I could tell if they're Democrat or Republican by how many likes they got on different Democrat people or issues or stuff like that. Or Republican has issues or people as well. But yes, I've done it to both. And I got blocked both times. Now, somebody said monkey, ape, goat, effle. I'm not saying the actual word this time. And they happen to be Republican. That's it. These people that said those things, though I've seen Democrats say too, but these particular people I reported were Republicans. I reported them. Guess what? Facebook sends me a message and says, hey, guess what? This is acceptable within the community. Now, okay, mine wasn't acceptable when I just said someone was racist. But if somebody calls somebody a monkey or ape or go there for stuff like that, then and Facebook knows you're a Republican. Mark Zuckerberg knows you're, either if you list your political affiliation or you said something that you're a Republican or you have so many likes on Republican ideas and beliefs, then they know you're a Republican. Now, if you're a Republican insulting minorities, he keeps your comments up. He don't block you for 30 days. Because you're not outreaching minorities, you're actually pushing minorities away. And that benefits Democrats. And Mark Zuckerberg being a Democrat, that's what he wants. He wants the Democrat to win president. And he really supports Hillary Clinton. Which brings us back to Hillary. So, he's using Facebook as a tool. And the problem is, Democrats will publish some misleading and lies and information about Republicans based off of progressive websites, which I told you about that before. And they're just not always honest and missing quotes out of place or something like that. And I've been telling minorities, hey, you know, I got CNN and I got USA Today, I got US News, and I can show you that those quotes are taken out of context or still like this, you know, or it's false information or missing. I was outreaching minorities. Minorities will listen to me. Black Americans, African Americans, Hispanic Americans were listening to me. They were going to my neutral sources, like USA Today and CNN, and finding that these progressive websites were telling lies. But now they don't have me because 30 days out. The only people that are posting up on this progressive website like MSNBC now on Facebook is the Republicans who don't want minorities to vote for the candidate. They don't want minorities. They want to hate minorities, call them thugs, you know, stuff. Something that Democrats were saying too, but Democrats already know African Americans and Hispanic Americans are going to naturally vote for them. So even if they said those comments, it wouldn't affect them. So, but me, I was changing minds as a Republican. Because I was showing, you know, look, them saying it too. It's not just Republicans being racist. Look, it's Democrats as well. You know, I was showing that as well, besides the policies that we have available as some of our Republican candidates have. So, that's the thing about Mark Zuckerberg, which I don't know why he's doing that. I mean, if he wants a fair election, he will let us Republicans at outreach do it. And stop trying to use the social media as a liberalism pushing up Democrats. I mean, he owns it, but he's being like a dictator on his thing. Because saying someone's racist because they said a racial comment, it should not be against the community guidelines. That's failure to say that's against the community. If they say a racial comment, somebody calls them racist, that's not an insult. Technically, that's just telling the truth. So, anyway, now we got Donald Trump. Mr. Donald Trump, I'm 28%. Meaning that 72% are voting for other candidates. Why is that? Because the majority of Republicans know Donald Trump cannot win a general election. They did a poll. They asked the Republicans, do you think Donald Trump can win a general election? Republicans said, no, he can't. And here's the reason why. Because he's pandering to a base of Ted Cruz in his base that is against immigration reform with the legal status, that's against criminal justice reform, that's against police reform, that's against black people, and I'm going to say that straight up, because a lot of those people that like Trump and Cruz don't like African Americans or Hispanics. The reason why they didn't like African Americans and Hispanics is because they're part of the Tea Party, which I hate the Tea Party. I'm sorry, my dad's a Tea Party. But let's be honest. The Tea Party has gone more extreme right. Used to be, hey, we just want to go against liberalism and small government. But the Tea Party has become a symbol of hate because they joined with the Confederates, and the Confederates is part of the issue of that. Now, people mistakenly think the Confederates are the Dixiecrats. It's not true. The Dixiecrats never left the Democrat Party. They stayed within the Democrat Party. But they became conservative Democrats. But the only reason they're conservative is they think their definition of conservative is to be racist. Because there is nothing conservative about progressive socialism. And the conservative Democrats still are to the left on many issues. They might agree with state rights, but they believe in state rights. Well, it's progressive socialism in those states. So states take the lead and then the federal government, but the states have to be progressive socialist. That's what a conservative Democrat is. And people don't understand that the Democrats stay within the Democrat Party. They vote Democrat in Congress, and they never, changed their, beliefs on progressivism. They still believe in progressive. But Donald Trump, this man, doesn't think he needs a Hispanic vote. He thinks he can deport everybody, spend billions of dollars to deport everybody, and make Hispanic Americans happy by doing that. Truth is, no. Hispanic Americans, they see a la familia, a family. Even though these people are undocumented immigrants, they see a family. They're a family to them. An extended family to them. Even though they're not blood relatives or whatever, they see an extended. So they want to try to help these undocumented immigrants to stay here. The 11 million that are already here. Now, I agree, we need to get some border security, and people say we can't build the wall. Okay, well, we need a fence, an electronic fence. We need something out there that, cameras or stuff, to make sure that we can't have this, because we can't have this influx. Well, we can't have to support all these undocumented immigrants, and we can't even support our own. I mean, I believe in legal status, and many other candidates, like Rand Paul, Jeb Bush, John Kasich, they believe in immigration reform with legal status. Well, they get the non-criminal people that pass the background checks when we're backgrounds from their home in here, stay here, work, and they could become a citizen, but they don't need a special citizenship process. Because we're going to give you a special process. You're going to become a citizen because you worked here for 1 year. No. They want them to go to the back of the line. Meaning that 2 years, if you're legally here for 2 years, I believe residency requirements, you can become a resident of a state. And then I think it's like another 2 years you can become a citizen, 2 to 3 years. And that's what they should have, is go through the regular citizenship process if they get legal status here. Okay? No special process. And no amnesty. We don't need to automatically make them citizens. No, we can't do that to everyone. We got people legally here, and we can't just say, okay, you're a citizen. But anyway, we got process in there. Now, Donald Trump doesn't have no criminal justice reform. He admits there's bad officers, but he doesn't want to fix it. You don't want to fix the problem. You don't want to put money, you don't want to put tax dollars when he becomes president to fix the problem. Here's the deal. We got a problem, a situation with the criminal justice system. It's unfair. It is totally unfair. If you're poor or you're black, more than likely you're going to be put in prison for a long time, even if it's just a drug crime. You know? Blacks more often, African Americans more often, because nobody's going to give a care. Or at least there were people that will give a care if they want your votes. I mean, I give a care, because I'm a libertarian Republican that believes that the criminal justice system should be fair. So does Kasich, so does Paul, and so does Kasich and Paul. That's the only ones I know of now that have a criminal justice reform plan. Police reform. Kasich and Paul have that too. They believe police reform needs to be reformed. You know, there's no reason the police should be militarized. There's no reason that the police should get away with police brutality. There has to be an independent review board in every city. It doesn't have to have the federal government control it, but the federal government could be involved to help these cities and states start out an independent review board, you know, and get these camps, you know, give it monetary assistance for the camps. So, that's not federal government control, that's federal government helping out. That's all it should be. And now, we went on criminal justice police reform, and I told you the candidates that believe in that. I told you the immigration reform candidates as well. Now, that was because that was talking about Donald Trump. I told you about the alternative candidates to Trump. Now, we got Tommy Sotomayer. Oh, man, I've been going on this radio show on YouTube. His problem is, he's an African American, but he says he's trying to uplift African Americans. But all he's done is bashed African Americans. He's bringing them down, acting like he's a superior African American, while the other African Americans are just crap. That is not uplifting people. Tommy is a conservative Republican. And I don't understand his whole goal saying, I'm trying to uplift black people, when he's not. He has done nothing to uplift black people. He said police officers, every time a police officer does something bad, and doesn't follow police procedural laws or policies, that it's okay. Because the guy deserved it. The black man deserved it. Or the black woman deserved it. Because they were not complying. Or they were committing a crime. Well, you know, that's not how it works. The justice system is supposed to have due process. You can't just kill someone just because they broke a crime. You know, they did a crime. Or because they're not complying. I mean, if they're not physically trying to kill you, then you can't just go. But that's how our criminal justice system has become. That if you have a badge, and especially if you're a white officer, you can go and kill somebody, a suspect, and potentially get away with it. Because I can, if it's a black suspect, African American suspect, black suspect, whatever you want to call, say, I could be a DA and put a majority white jury up on board, and with a simple majority white jury, a simple majority white jury can say, hey, he's a black man. He must have did something to cause it. I'm not going to indict the officer, and all the whites say, ooh. That's why this grand jury don't work. I recommend a multicultural independent review board for charges or not, with subpoena power. Because this whole grand jury situation is a joke. I mean, it doesn't, I mean, you could stack it against, especially if it's African American or Hispanic suspect, you could stack it against with whites that have preconceived notions of a minority. So it doesn't always work that way, you know. There have been times they charged officers, but it's very rare for, especially a white officer, to get charged. Things need to change on that. But anyway, Tommy doesn't believe in that. Tommy believes in whatever one officer with the badge does is to especially a black man. Which he doesn't talk about what they do to white man. I mean, he doesn't say it's okay to do what they do to white man. He's always talking about African Americans. It's okay to do what they do to African Americans. And that brings up another thing. These so-called Blue Lives Matter people, I'm not talking about the officers themselves, but the people who say that in all lives matter. When an officer gets shot, if the suspect is white, nobody seems to care about that officer. But if the officer was shot by a black man, an African American, that's when these people seem to care. Now, to me, I think an officer lives matter. If his officer is compliant, doing policy, procedure, and law, and he still gets killed, and he gets killed by a suspect, that officer lives matter, and I don't care if the suspect white, black, Hispanic, that suspect killed the officer. Like what happened to 2 cases. The one in Alabama was a white middle-aged man. He killed the officer. For no reason. Except he was a criminal. He was a suspect. And he went to kill the officer. Same thing that happened with this gas station. And this time it was an African-American suspect that killed an officer. But this time the officer was doing nothing but filling his gas tank. But the African American just executed. So we got a white man and an African American that executed officers. They're still alive. They're lucky to be still alive. They are lucky to be still alive, but that won't be for long because they're going to get the death penalty. I feel no remorse or sorry for somebody who executes an officer. I don't believe an officer that should execute a suspect. But the suspect should not execute an officer. I do believe an officer, if a person has a gun and they stick a gun at an officer, you're asking to die, okay? That's suicide by cop. And if you take a comb and you act like it's a gun and you point it at the officer, you're asking to die on that too. If you're doing something like this, pointing something at them like it's a gun, well, you're asking to die. I'm sorry, But there have been unarmed suspects that didn't do that. They may have a little bit of resisted, but they didn't really show they were trying to get the gun or pull, like Eric Garner. Now, Tamir lies he had a little BB gun, but he never pointed it at the officer. The officer came in, 2 seconds, shot him. That wasn't justified. The officer didn't even try to look at the situation. He just went intent to kill. But that's being discussed by a grand jury that hasn't even been formed yet. Tenzing killed a guy, and on video camera you could see he just cold blood killed Dubose. And then lied about being drunk. So, Freddie Gray, look at that. According to Ben Carson, Republican candidate, it was direct force. Direct force. Meaning that the officers had to actually do something to break his back. It wasn't the seatbelt theory. Walter Scott shot in the back by an officer. And there's many, many cases out there. We need police accountability. We need police reform, criminal justice reform. But we also need suspect accountability. If a suspect shoots, stabs, or an officer, they need to go in and get charged. But officers need to get charged too when they don't follow policy, procedures, and laws as well. Nobody is above the law, badge or not. That is my point. So I told you what I think are the most powerful people, and I want you guys to understand this was my speech. Thank you.